All right, everybody, we are live once again. I'm gonna be inviting my beautiful Miruna, talking about spirituality, about expression, about, you know, different ways to go through life.
Hello.
Baby girl.
Hey. So happy
Luna.
to see you.
Hello. I'm so happy to see you as well. Sorry, I'm answering a comment from my friend on the live. I'm so happy to see you. I'm so glad. I have like little eyes. Just came back. When you have the
Welcome back.
thank you so much, girl. And the mess of you is coming back, and put yourself back into this mode here, and then I'm cleaning in the same time and tidying up. So it's a good feeling. It's like exhausting, but
Yeah,
it's a really good feeling. I'm so happy that we kept our call, and I'm so happy to get you with me
me
today.
too. Me too, really. So
Thank
happy to
you.
see you. And
Would you like?
welcome back.
Thank you, my dear. I can't wait. We can see each other. We could do something with the girls. Would you like to start with a prayer and meditation on your part? You want to go, or do you want me to go?
Let's start with the prayer. Let's start with the prayer. I'll make it sweet and short,
Perfect, girl.
which is thank you so much for bringing us together tonight. Um, we allow ourselves to open our hearts, speak straight from our hearts, open our minds to receive the highest intelligence. We're grounding ourselves here and now together and connecting with everybody who's listening and who's also seeking for the highest energy. And may we be guided and supported into our conversation tonight. Amen.
Amen. Wow, that was perfectly short and sweet. I love it. All right, so let's dive in. I'm gonna put the timer.
Let's.
Sorry. Okay. I put a timer. It goes so fast. So all right. What did you feel like talking? We mentioned before about the importance of healing and going from anger to you were saying healing. I forgot what you said.
Yeah. Actually, I love what you wanted to talk about, which is transforming anger well, the path from anger to healing. I
Uh-huh.
think it's so important that we touch upon the issue of anger. It's funny how this week I've been discussing with several women about anger and how, yeah,
Sorry, you cut off.
I cut off.
Yeah, you were talking about the fact that you were talking to women, and a lot of them was talking about anger, something.
Yeah, and the fact that anger is not the emotion that we're readily open to show or express, and the fear of showing or expressing anger in a not such in not of the best ways. So because we're afraid to look angry, sound angry, we, mostly women, bottle it up, but then don't address it. It's getting, you know, stacked with other emotions, and we don't find venues to actually unpack it. So I find it amazing that you felt that anger would be such a great point to discuss.
I love it. I love it. It's very. I love there's different point of view of seeing it, right? So then, depending of how you got brought up, certain people deal with emotions differently, right? So when you have feeling of anger for many reasons, right, in their lives, either you choose to express it, which that's how I got brought up. I was always very expressive, or either because you're fearful of being judged or being seen as a bad person, then you choose, like you say, to gulp it, like taking it in and then let it accumulate, which is both side extremely, is never good, right? You cannot be
Yeah.
too extreme and too, explosive and then expressing too much without controlling in a certain sense your emotion.
Yes.
And in the same time, you cannot tame it down and put it deep down in yourself, because you're not being true to yourself and you're not listening to your soul and your emotions. So I love that we're going to be able to, like, balance that out in between.
Yeah.
I believe that anger and other emotions, they're not bad anymore. Like, as I'm working with my spirituality, anyway, I'm going apart, but I'm realizing that we live in an upside down world. I'll do a video about it one day, where everything we've been perceived as bad is not necessarily as bad, you know what I mean? And everything that's perceived as just perfectly and good, and then we keep seeking success, money, material, provision, it's not what's truly gonna make you happy with your soul and find your purpose, right? So the reason I say that is that we often say, oh, failure is bad, being mad is bad, angry is bad, like this emotion or negative, because I've been brought up like, the more you work in personal development, the more you want to raise your energy up, so you want to
Yeah.
have those perfect, beautiful emotion, which is happiness, joy, and everything. And I keep talking about it because the more you connect with yourself, the more those emotions come more, right? But it's
Yeah.
okay if you feel all those negative emotion, which is mad, anger, frustration, desperation, exasperation, sadness. Those
Yeah.
emotions are part of you. And when you accept and you embrace yourself fully, that's when you're able to let it go, right?
Yeah.
But you have first and foremost have to face those emotions, face why are you feeling this way, face your wounds, face your past. And it's not going to be easy, guys. Jeez, I've been doing that for the last freaking months very intensively, and it's not easy, but God, how good does it feel? You know what I mean? So there's a
Yeah.
reason you feel anger. And all I have to say before I give you la parole, which is like you can speak after, is that witness your thoughts, witness your emotions, and do not discard them. There's, you are worth who you are. You're beautiful the way you are. You're made the way you are, and you can keep working on yourself, keep healing. It's not, it's okay. It's okay to feel all those fucked up emotion that you think is bad. It's perfectly, because you've been hurt in the past, generational trauma, we keep talking. So there's a reason why you keep having those emotions, because it's a result of the wounds you have been living in the past, right? So in
Yeah.
order to heal, you have to face those hardships and those emotions that you think is bad. It's okay, it's part of the process, and it's beautiful, and it's challenging, but it is beautiful. And on the other side of healing, trust me, guys, I'm like, I keep healing from a lot of wounds, and I keep freaking crying my ass off, and it feels so good because it's a release. Once you release and you heal from a certain aspect of your life and yourself, it doesn't, you're free. You're truly free,
Yeah.
because when people keep, like, the people around you, you cannot change them, right? The only thing you can change is yourself, right? So when those people who haven't changed, let's say, come back to you with the same words, the same situation, and try to trigger you unconsciously, you're not triggered anymore. And I feel like you're feeling what I'm saying, and I feel you really
Yeah.
relate, but you're not triggered anymore. And that's when you truly know that you have healed from that. You know what I mean? But I've gotten through all this fucked up emotion. I'm like, I was mad, I was sad, I was, screaming to myself. I was talking with God, and I was like, just like, please help me heal. But I had to go through those emotions. So I just say to you today, guys, that, like, never witness your thoughts and your emotions, never discard them, feel them freely. And you don't have to do it in front of people you're not comfortable with. If you have somebody, your partner, and you really feel comfortable, your best friend, do it with them, share. But you can do it with yourself. And I do it with myself, privately with God, with my God of my understanding, my universe. It really helps me be truly vulnerable. So yeah, no matter what works for you, just express it. All right. Yeah.
Let's take a moment to breathe after that. Thank you for expressing your processing. and your experience. And I think it's an amazing theme. Thank you for that. It's so pertinent. Certainly, it can certainly be chaotic, and when we talk emotion, it is certainly not orderly. However, it does help to name one at a time and work with it one at a time. Super focused work. So at the base, I'd love to ask, what is anger? For everybody, for each individual, to ask what is anger, and not respond with our mental comprehension of the definition of anger, but actually allow ourselves to have the response in emotion language. So emotion, energy in motion language speaks in feeling. This is the language of emotion. What is anger? So anger is, what is anger for you, Macy, in your experience, in your internal world? When you look closer to anger with the eyes of compassion and patience, what is anger for you?
It's a great question. I love that we're starting from the start. We're going to go vulnerable here. I think it's a lack of your disappointment. So when things you're planning in your life, right, and that's something I've been learning through. I used to have wanting a lot of control, and control comes in so many forms. But when I wanted to have control on my surroundings, my outcomes, my expectations, anger would come when my expectation wouldn't be met. And if you just want to talk about emotion deeply, that's how I can only describe anger with other emotions. So
Right, you're getting closer. So behind anger, when you drop anger inside, what is really inside? Because anger is a masked emotion.
of course,
It's in itself, it's not truly what it is. If you drop in anger and if you let it flow in the body, it's going to be showing another emotion.
is disappointment.
Yes,
It's
it's sadness.
is feeling, it's doubtful, because you doubt because of how we've been programmed. I feel like I'm doubting my ability to have the outcome I want. When you feel anger, you're doubting the person around you, if they really love you for who you are. You're doubting your value. So behind anger hides a small little Macy, right, of 5 years old, who just have um, issues of who have sometimes confidence issues and feeling worthy, right? And it comes back to deeply those issues in our life and deeply those ones. Um, and we don't know how to express it then with anger, right? And I feel like when I use the anger as a reaction of emotion, it's like if I'm using my mental to justify that it's not my fault, it's the other people's fault, right? And try to, because admitting that it's your fault, or admitting that everything that's happening in your world because of you, just you, it's like sometimes too much to bear for one person.
Yeah.
So
And
perhaps
it's done with a guilt trip mode, unfortunately, not in a responsibility mode. It's done in a my fault. Even the language, right? If it's not your fault, it must be my fault. If it's not my fault, then it got to be your fault.
it's just black.
It doesn't have to be a fault. It's
Yeah.
just something we need a solution for. And in the eyes of compassion and in the world of heart to heart, it's not about the fault. It's about how can we receive each other and see each other and understand deeply that we both have wounds. And the one on the highest ground usually is the one who's tending the hand, if possible. Ideally, one is on a higher, when I say higher ground, I mean a more lucid space, right? Not a higher than you. But I love that you've determined immediately, you see, when you ask in your own experience, what is anger? because we are truth tellers and because our hearts are so pure in our core divine self, we will immediately reveal that actually it's a little inner child. It's a root that goes deeper, and it's a sadness. It is a sadness that I don't feel seen, heard, understood, capable enough. I'm actually fear. It's fear. The root of all these emotions up to courage, it's all fear anyway. So I'm fearful that you don't get me, that I can express myself clearly because I'm angrily trying to tell you something. So obviously your ears are getting closed because you're protecting yourself. So you can't understand me really. So I'm basically trying to communicate and bring a solution in a not so appropriate way. Now, what I loved in this week's conversation with a dear friend, we were talking about how many women are not allowing, like on the other side of the medal, women that are not allowing themselves, or men, humans, but in her experience, she's a woman, simply dismissing anger as an emotion right from the bat. So instead of showing, because you do need to show a disapproval or an uncomfort, it doesn't have to be an explosive, violent way to show it. There's a way to channel it and express it, but definitely it's important to show disapproval, especially in situations where your boundaries are severely broken, when you're being in situations that are disrespectful, that are not healthy, that are possibly violent, then you certainly need to use a force. So anger is building up, and not fall into sadness straight away, like dismissing anger and just falling in and getting quiet. So it's fascinating that in the paradox of the discussion, there is an importance of anger to be acknowledged and felt. Now, we don't need to let it explode into the spectrum that you were talking initially, right? That you just go and totally lose it on people. But on the other hand, you don't need to implode it, which is a Hiroshima inside of your body, basically. A mini Hiroshima. You're going to implode. And you're going to be, it's auto-destruction inside. Your body will get very hurt. There is another way, which is a balanced way of allowing to feel a middle ground, expressing that I do not feel understood. I don't feel heard. Please take a breather. Let me rephrase. No, this is not what I was saying. Or, this is my boundary. Do not advance. I don't appreciate you speaking like, whatever it is that you need to, set clear. And then, if it depends on the level of the emotional maturity of the person, you decide what will follow. Can you actually continue a conscious conversation? If not, you withdraw. You will make decision about the relationship. You speak about the communication. Again, there is a negotiation, and then there is an actual ending of this communication. Because if you're not reciprocated in the level of consciousness, one time, two times, three times, especially if it's about boundary breaking, that's it. There is no more third time. It's once, twice, third time I'm already gone. Very interesting, right? On the other flip side, there are many who have just drowning them right away.
Thank you so much for sharing. I love it. I love the different perspectives. I love to see how you bring that forth, and how you deal with your emotions in turn as well. I believe that a lot of, like, we all know I feel like there's a gap between our consciousness, our reaction that's a reflex that we have been programmed to reflect, to have a reflex to react this way, and our spirituality. And among all the years I've been working on myself and being personal development, you know what you have to do to react better. You know how to show up better. You know how you should be communicating better. And it's a challenge because most of people, and today I'm such a changed woman. I'm so happy and proud to tell you that, thanks to my spirituality and my connection. You would see me 3 years ago and I'm a complete different woman. I am so much in tune with my emotions, so much in tune with my understanding, with my vulnerability of who I am as a 5-year-old girl. And I deeply know what I have to do to work on myself when I'm wounded. And I know that the people who triggers me around me is not them. It's just I had to leave that because it's my perception, right? It's my perspective. So in order for people, and I believe, and I'm telling you that today we're exchanging, for them to get to a point where, hey, I'm witnessing my thought, I choose to communicate it without, like you say, internally, you choose to keep it inside of you. I choose to communicate it. It demands a lot of practice, I believe, consciousness of wanting to do this change and this effort, because I don't know for you and the other people listening perhaps, but on the heat of the moment, let's say I have a reflex back then to react fiercely. The people who has the reflex to keep it inside of them, um, will it's like a reaction, right? It's a reflex. So on the moment, you have to be, like you say, emotionally intelligent to stop yourself and say, hey, let's say, Isabel, you are not expressing truly who you are. You're not expressing your emotion in a mature way, or you're not expressing it at all. You have to right now. But to get to this point, what really helped me is not only personal development, but what truly helped me is my spiritual connection. Finding myself back to the God of my understanding, finding myself that truly I am loved, by God and the universe. I am perfect the way I am. And all those little fear, like you say, it's always about fear, right? We've been programmed and indoctrined to believe that we have a right and justified to be fearful. But no, in the world of a perfect world where everybody is in balance, there's no fear. Fear doesn't exist. It's just an illusion, right? So my spirituality connection allowed me, and I'm talking personal experience here, to understand that it's okay I'm not perfect, to understand that it's okay I'm wounded, to understand that it's okay I'm reacted. Some situations make me react and make me triggered. I understand it more. I'm witnessing it more, and my emotional intelligence raised up because I connected with myself and my spirit. So I believe that the key is, like you say, is to be everything you said, the great tricks. I love it, to be able to like show up better, to be the bigger, I don't want to say the bigger person because it's an ego thing, but to tend, like you say, their hand. But in order to do that, guys, it's okay. It's going to be work, guys. Don't expect to be perfect the first time, and do never, like you say, never feel
Don't
guilty.
expect to be perfect.
Exactly. Perfection is overrated, guys, right? And that's
It's
for
a
women.
mental
For
concept that
women.
nobody found. We just
Oh my
wrote it.
gosh, it's crazy. Yeah, it's like
Doesn't
just
exist.
like somebody who created the perfection term is like just to make us, how to say, torture. They wanted to torture us because there's nothing such as perfection.
Not in the way it's presented in the mental. No,
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 exactly.
no.
So all that to say that do not feel guilty if you didn't react the way you wanted to react at the point. What matters is what you do about it after, right? What matters if you come back and say sorry, or you come back and say, hey, listen, I didn't express myself before. I wish to say that or that or that. I feel this way, I disliked it. And, like we said, don't dismiss it, live it. But like you say, be mature about it, emotional. So like it's a question of balance, right? Where are you at in your process? Where are you at emotionally? Where are you at consciously? Where are you at spiritually? And all that defines how you deal with your life at the end of the day, right?
Definitely.
And anger. Yeah.
Definitely. I love it.
Thank
Yeah, the guilt, I definitely remember the guilt, especially when we're in the process of learning. And in the process of learning, we're going to make the so said mistakes, which is being reactive. And did you ever notice that when you put a place an objective like I'm going to be working on my patience this week, suddenly all the world seems to conspire that you are impatient. The traffic gets horrible. Everything is it's like why? It
you. This is
just
so
why is
true.
this happening to me? Why? Oh, because the universe loves you so much that it heard you, and it just so happens that it sets up everything so that you may practice the patience. How do you practice the patience? While experimenting being so impatient over and over and over and
Yes.
stretching your patience.
Yeah.
So
Practice.
anger, reactivity in anger, reactivity in anger. You go back, oh, consciousness. So for the ones who are extrovert, angrily, like let's say the overly angry expression, you will be working that space of consciousness, presence, breathing, taking a step back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, responding, learning what is the difference between reacting and responding. Big difference.
Yes.
Working that gap of roots, consciousness. It's going to take practice over and over again for those who implode and don't use the anger and deny it. Again, it's like a color in the rainbow. For me, it's red. So did you see a rainbow with no, I mean, would you take a color away from the rainbow? It's missing. So it's perfectly part of the light, which is been spread anyway, I don't want to get abstract. You know, I always need to bring myself back. And less is more. So tonight, my intention was be more precise, get concrete. So to just come back to anger imploding, still because it's fear of not truly showing, we're practicing. What helps is we write it down, because in the moment you didn't get it out. Okay, 'cause for the ones who get it out, it's like it's out, it's way too much out, it's quicker, it's gone. It
Yes.
just went.
But the
Whoops.
others, yeah.
But the others, and I've worked on both sides, we write it down. We write down what I really meant, and I allow myself to express this anger in a healthy, balanced way. This is not okay, because what happens with when we're like this, usually we're getting crushed. We're getting really boundary violation. We're getting in contact with people that are very not adequate with their words and their actions. I'm not saying all of them, but there will be some, the mirrors. So then I am allowing myself to express healthily my anger and say and set my boundaries. I will not let myself fall into fear of being rejected or being judged because I was that. No, I am training myself to not, I love to just say allowing myself to express even, which even more free. Authentically what I feel in the moment in a healthy manner. And when we talk about balance, we need all our emotions as humans. So if I'm missing a color, if I'm missing an emotion, I'm denying it, I'm going to be out of balance.
Yes.
And anyway, I'm going to have built up anger inside.
Yep.
It's going to come out on the other side. I'm going to get passive aggressive with you. So it will come out. It's
Yes.
there.
And be
You,
there
it
and not
doesn't
ignore.
work. It
Yeah.
doesn't work anyway. It doesn't work. So might as well address it
I trust
in
it.
balance. Feel it.
Oh my gosh, feel it. I love it.
Yeah.
And I love that you're doing those beautiful work with the women that you have with you, and then you're offering so much, your knowledge and what you have lived personally. And that's what it is, right? To share your knowledge, and if people seek it, to just do it and do it out of love. And to add to what you just said, the intention, right? What is your intention behind what you just lived as a challenge, right? Like, do you do you have the intention to feel better about it, to resolve this issue, to feel good inside of you? Who wants to say, yeah, like willingly I want to be miserable and keep all those emotions inside or out and feel great about it and feel bad about it for the rest of the my life. Who wants that? You know what I mean? Set your intention when something arises in your life, and like you say, you dismiss it, or unconsciously you how do whatever you react to it. What is your intention, right? If you have your intention and you mindfully you want to get resolved with that, you want to heal from it, you
You
want to
will.
feel good, guys. I'm telling you, it feels so good to heal from it. So if you want to set this intention, trust me, you'll make the effort and it will come to you, this determination and this desire, like you say, to willingly write it down, communicate, express it, address it. Do not, dismiss it, whatever, everything we've been saying. It's amazing. It's amazing
Yeah.
because, like, we all have different, like you say, temperament and different personality. That's what makes a beautiful world full of different peoples, right? And the times is up, by the way. So,
I had a feeling
it's crazy, I know. The
flying.
timer
This
was
time
there.
is flying.
So to finish up, and you can tell for the people who are really not, there yet, you could give an advice. But my advice is, once again, the Russian dolls. This last week, I came across a healing process, and I was crying my ass. It was crazy. Like a lot of energy goes out, and then I shared that with one of the girlfriends we're working with, and it kind of worked for her, because she's really as well, she had a desire to work on it and release, all those emotions. So she worked on it in the way I did. So basically the Russian dolls, once again, and you do it by paper, you do it by text, whatever, but it's basically to décortiquer. So that means separate the different parts of your ego. So when you have something that, as soon as something triggers you, you can know it, guys, right away. Like something says something to you, something you see, something you witness a situation, and like, man, this, what the hell? Like there's something, it react. You feel it physically and mentally. You feel it, guys. Like we are
Yeah.
crazy soul connectiveness, and everything we live in, guys. Like she said, is part of your journey, and it's meant to be, right? So anyway, so witness it, and as soon as you know there's something triggering you, oh, I'm triggered by that. Why is that? And then often in our ego we fall into mental, either introvertly, oh, I cannot tell them because they're going to judge me, or they're going to tell me I'm really mad, or I'm crazy to say that, whatever, or oh, I'm going to tell them because no, whatever the discourse, whatever the mental
Discourse.
discourse
Yeah.
you're
Narrative.
telling yourself
Yeah.
is a mental side. So that's your mental, that's your brain, that's your logical that you've been programmed to. Then you have your emotional side. So like you say, describe your emotions. What do you feel? And there's going to have a bunch of emotions you're going to feel towards this situation, but just get out of it, right? Just emotions. Just really learn to separate it. Then you have to have the facts, which is the situation. Don't no emotions, no mental. It is just facts. Then you go with with your mental side. Then you go with emotions, and finally, that demands a lot of in touch with yourself and the willingness to heal and be vulnerable. But is to touch base with your 5 years old, and then tell yourself, what is the lesson I have to bring forth from the situation? Why did I think this way? Why did I feel this way? What is this emotion? And then you touch base, but it's a bit hard to explain at this point. But to touch base with your 5 years old allows you to really and then when you make you put your finger on it, because then there's a huge flow of emotion coming out, huge flow of tears, emotion, and you keep crying, you know that you're on it, and then you release it. So that's my process, and that was the best way for me to connect better with myself. So this is my advice. Hopefully that can relate to some people depending of who they are. So on this note, do you have a final advice for the people who are not yet there in this work of spirituality and work of dealing with their emotions, and how to so yeah.
I love it. And share again the video maybe after
I
in the
know.
comment section,
I
just to
tried.
remind it.
I didn't find it. I didn't find
You
the
didn't
video
find it? Okay.
in
If
any,
you
like, I'm
find it,
writing
share
Russian
it.
dolls, I'm writing
Okay.
it's
Well,
nowhere to
it
be
will come
found.
back to you. When it
Yes.
comes back to you, share it in our comments. I really can't wait to see that video.
Okay.
My offering is simple. Go one thing at a time. So one emotion at a time. In this example, it was anger. So whatever is your most often trigger, because you will see it coming up in many situations at work, in your relationship. So if you're angry, let's say it's you're triggered to respond angrily, or just overly, your anger is over the top, which is like disproportionate to the actual situation. Set your intention, give yourself time. I love the cycles of 21 days. Everything that I broke through in behavior and implementing, be it breaking a habit or implementing a habit, 21 days. Quitting smoking, 21 days. My routine meditation, 20. It's the cycle of the new habit, and also the cycle of detoxing from very negative habits in addiction as well, right? So give yourself a full 21 days. Go with one thing at a time. Don't start meddling with all the emotions that we want to transform yourself with everything. It will be chaotic. So take that trigger, be determined, because again, the moment when you say it out loud, I'm going to work on my patience, the universe will conspire to make you impatient so that you, of course, flex your muscle, just like a gym. You know, when you go back to the gym, we all know that. You really need to persevere. So don't drop before your full cycle. And then notice it will not get better right away. It will actually get more difficult. So it's counterintuitive. Keep going, keep being persistent. Yes, I love journaling, but when it comes to emotional freedom, and I will share the video, it's letting go, David Hawkins. Go for the root.
Dr.
Feel it.
Hawkins? Are you kidding
Yes,
me? I
Dr.
read his
David
book.
Hawkins, letting go.
Let it
It's an
go.
inner mechanism. I have not
Yes.
found a more freeing and natural inner capacity to free yourself from reactivity inside your body, mind, and soul. So for me, it's David Hawkins all the way. He
Oh, yeah.
explains it with science. He explains it with psychology. He explains it all the way, however point of view you want to take. He will, and there's the videos on YouTube. I will just look for the one with letting go.
I love it, girl.
And I invite everybody, if they don't know him yet, you really want to get to hear this amazing, amazing pioneer. Yeah. Yeah, it's a yellow. He has a whole series, but that's another story. Letting go. Yeah.
This is crazy, girl. I
Go for
love
the root. Go for the root. And learn about how expressing emotion is the tip of the iceberg, but it's not the freeing. You have to go deep until the root beneath your ocean, and that is actual feeling, no thoughts, no narrative. We find it in satsang as well. Again, we're gonna talk about it more next time, because our time is up.
Yes.
And but I'll share the letting go. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so
Yeah.
much, Miruna. You are amazing. Thank you, a creator, to allow us to connect every week like that and to be able to express ourselves, share our thoughts, share experience. And I find that it's so beautiful because we have so many different experiences and different personalities that's joined together so beautifully and balance that out. And I find that it's the best combination of offerings that we're doing, right? That's what we want. We just want to give it out with the intention
Yeah.
of love. And I love that you talk about the let it go. That's something that's really going to be present in my mentorship and my programs, because that truly helped me before being spiritual. It really helped me to, like you say, connect my brain side of logical towards slowly
Right.
let it go, like you can relate to it more. That really, really helped me. That freed me a lot. Let it go about outcomes, let it go about your emotion, let it go about not perfection, let it go about what you expected. Let it go, guys. Just surf the
Let
waves
it
of life,
go. Let it go.
Let
And
it go.
then yeah, and then there's the Frozen one
Yeah,
theme that we all know, and it
exactly.
helps just sing it out of a
Yes,
sudden. Yeah,
I
inner
love it.
child expression.
I love it, girl.
Thank you,
Thank
my dearest
you.
Macy, so much. So happy.
Thank
Again,
you so
so
much.
grateful. Hello to everyone. Blessings, and may you be sustained and supported in whatever you want to break free of. May it be so. Set intention, go for it. go all the way.
Yeah,
Totally possible. We're
it
all
is.
in this together.
Of
And I
course.
can't wait to see you next Wednesday.
Of course. Thank you
Cannot
so
wait.
much, Miruna. Have a
Blessings.
great
Have a good
day.
night, everyone. Bye.
Bye.